Welcome to It's Time, an in-depth look at understanding the importance of succession planning for your automotive business. It's Time is presented by Standard. Now, here's your host, Doug Kaufman.
Hi again, everybody, and welcome back to It's Time, our 6-part series on succession planning, sponsored by Standard Brands. I'm Doug Kaufman, I'm editor of Shop Owner Magazine, and today I am pleased to be joined by Karen Schleifer, legal guru at Schleifer Law in Beechwood, Ohio. Karen's clients include startup companies of all sizes, closely held companies, real estate developers, owners of commercial real estate, and for our purposes today, family-owned businesses. Karen, thank you for joining us.
Doug, it's a pleasure to be here today.
Really appreciate having you. In part one of our series, we shared an overview of the roadmap that shop owners should pay attention to along their business journey, especially if they have a destination and let's say relaxing retirement in mind. One of our local shop owners, who is in the process now of turning his successful shop over to his daughters as he transitions to a more relaxed business future, told me how surprised he was at the complexities and challenges it is to transfer a business to the next generation. Let's talk about navigating that legal landscape and the legal considerations of succession planning. What are the challenges, the legal implications and hurdles of transferring business ownership?
It's first of all, to whom are you going to transfer your business? Is this someone who understands your company? Is it someone that understands the culture? Is it a person that's good with people that will be able to keep the stream of customers that you currently have and to grow your business? So it's really picking the right person. And in a family business, it may not be the family member who's the best person to take over the company, and that poses some minefields. When you have children, they feel that it's their birthright to take over the family business. But mom or dad who built the business is thinking about longevity and being able to take the family out generations and knows in their heart that their child may mean well by it, but they really aren't the right person to take the company forward. But other times, it is the child. And when I say child, it could be someone that's in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. It all depends how old or how much advanced age the parents are. But most people are looking to sort of retire out of the business by the time they're in their mid-60s. That's what I've been seeing.
Okay.
But not necessarily want to be totally out of it, because several people have said, well, what am I going to do with my life if I live to be 105? You know, I see people living this long, and 60 doesn't seem that old. But at the same time, I don't see myself doing the kind of work I did 20 years ago, the hours, the strategic planning. I'd like to be able to ease my way slowly out of the business, and what's the best way to do it. So
there are steps that you need to take, shop owners need to take long before they're ready to start planning on retiring.
Exactly. It's just like anything else. Planning your estate planning, you don't wait till the week before you want to leave to start saving. It's the same thing with your business. And I always have conversations with people. Where does your business fall into your estate plan in your retirement? Those people who've thought ahead, they know exactly how it's going to work. Others, it's sort of a shock. Like, what do you mean? Because some people say to me early on in the process, well, I'm going to keep working, but I think I need my business as my retirement plan. And I said, well, maybe you need to talk to a financial advisor. And I'm not the financial advisor, but not have all of your eggs in one basket, meaning that you're going to depend on that company. But when people who have had a successful business succession planning, they're starting a good 5 to 10 years in advance, maybe 5 if they're cutting it close, because they have to think about how is this going to work financially. As I said before, who's going to take over my business, and how do we structure it properly that it doesn't choke the business, and at the same time, I get the best tax benefits of how we structure this.
Sure. Obviously, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. We don't know when that last day is going to be, whether it's in the business or what are the steps legally that people should start putting into place? What are to ensure that they're not only setting the business up financially, which we'll talk about in a minute, but also to ensure that they're complying with local and state and federal requirements when it comes to business law and things like that.
The thing they have to look at is, are they planning on keeping all of their employees? What I have found, most people who have had a very successful business, it's key to keeping their employees, because we know with the labor shortage, and especially in the technical and the trades area, it's very hard to find really good, skilled people who want to continue working on that level. So that's the thing. You want to make sure if you're letting anyone go, you have to make sure it's not an age discrimination issue. In our state of Ohio, I know we have people looking here from all over the country. You need to talk with legal counsel about that. Do you have employment agreements with people? Because that's going to tie in terms of who can actually do the work as part of the succession plan. Then also looking at, as I said before, tax implications of how you structured the deal. The transition. Are you set up as an LLC? Are you a corporation? What's the best way from a tax standpoint in both those scenarios? In terms of documents, most people don't even think about this before. They're only thinking about the end game is retirement. Well, unfortunately, bad things happen in life. And you could be 45 years old and have a stroke and be debilitated to the point you really can't function for many months, if ever.
And that's a great point, because a lot of times the shop owner is the face of the shop, the personality. Right. Even if you've got a kid or a manager who you're grooming to be, you're hoping will be that taking your business over. If they don't have the relationship with the customers and the staff, the employees you have, things could fall apart. You need to make sure that you've got that right person in place.
Right, and when you talk about also setting up the succession plan, is that key person, maybe it was the founder, it could be second in command, because over the years that person's developed even more of a deep relationship. Are you going to keep that person on as a consultant to help with that transition, to be the face? And before that trigger date happens, are you planning on introducing your successor to your clients, your customers, in advance of that trigger date, so it's not so glaring that they walk into the shop one day and they see a different person there, and where's so-and-so? Well, he's down in Florida. He just retired. Dad's down in Florida, not coming back. Oh, I knew Dad for 40 years.
Wow, that's interesting. What, you don't only work with automotive shops in Ohio. Mm-hmm. Are there specific challenges or hurdles that automotive shops have relative to other businesses?
It's a shortage of skilled labor in this country. Huge. And I know when I was involved in one of my alma mater high school, I went to a meeting with other foundations for different schools, and they were meeting with the whole cooperatives that are emerging in Northeast Ohio to identify opportunities for people coming out of high school where they can train and go into the trades and help fill that void and be workplace ready.
Yeah, the next generation is certainly a crucial part for the entire industry. We'll talk about the next generation at your shop coming up next.
Introducing Blue Streak GDI high-pressure fuel pump kits. Everything needed for a complete GDI service, including a new high-pressure pump, cam follower, and required hardware. What's in your box?
And we're back with Karen Schleifer from Karen Schleifer, attorney at law in Beechwood Attorney. Karen, let's talk about grooming that next generation of employee. We want to make sure that the shops of today continue to be the shops of tomorrow and the shops into the future. And yet we hear stories of shop owners who just haven't prepared. Right. What are some of as you've worked with some of the shops, what are some of the things that they have been surprised by or shocked to learn about about succession planning?
It's, first of all, having that conversation with yourself it's almost like the fear that people have about doing their estate plan. It means that I'm talking about death. It means it's the end of my career that I thought so highly of. It's also taking an honest look at the business you built. Could you actually give someone the key to the door and all the systems would be in place? You have all your legal documents in place. You have all the contracts in place. Do you really have something that's saleable? And I know it's a big issue with colleagues of mine who do brokering of businesses. It's the percentage of businesses out there that are just not saleable because they don't have their ducks in place.
Let's talk about those legal documents. What kind of things are some of the obvious things that are necessary for succession planning, and maybe some of the less obvious things that people need to be prepared with to have in place?
Okay, first of all, are all your corporate documents up to date? And I mean, if you're an unlimited liability company, if you're a corporation, have you the basic documents that you're required to be what's called in good standing? I'm amazed with how many companies don't even have what's called their operating agreement. They just have a code of regulations that just says, yes, this is the company we formed 40 years ago, and they don't have any amendments when if there's been any changes in ownership percentages. And that really becomes a risk management issue, because if there's ever an issue, a lawsuit or a claim, the last thing you want is for another attorney to be doing what's called pierce the corporate veil. The reason we set up these entities is to protect the owners from personal liability. And the question becomes, do they have all of those corporate documents in place so that they have minimized their personal exposure in the business? Plus, it's important for the future owner to be able to, even if it's a family member, that's all in place. The other question is, do you have all your legal documents in place for any of the benefits that you offer?
That's a good point. We just assume that things are going to continue.
Right, exactly.
The medical plan will stay in place.
Well, we know that nothing stays in place in the medical world. Each year you get your yearly update that it's time to pick a plan, and how are you going to offer that? And if you're not offering health care, once again, when you're talking to the financial advisor, the question is, are you losing potential workers because you can't compete with your competition on the benefits? I knew way back when I came out of law school, all we cared was, what's my annual salary? Now the question is, what benefits do you offer?
Right. Well, the nice thing is, for all of us, that the internet has made it so easy to get all of the facts for everything we need. We can get every bit of information we need and be sure it's accurate and true just by going online, right?
Absolutely. When I was in law school, we used to joke, but that was at the beginning of the internet. Yeah. They would say, well, it must be true. I read it in a book. Now I read it on the internet. The internet's great if you understand what the source is. But just like when it comes to taking care of my car, I don't believe I can change a tire. I don't know about changing oil. I bring it to an expert. And that's when I would advise people. You surround yourself with those experts that can help you. And that starts way in advance of succession planning. And I would just tell people, please do not download documents from the internet. You may say, well, my business does 500 to a million a year. It's it's a micro business. It's a small business. It's not complex. I don't need anything sophisticated. Well, it's not necessarily the case. You could have $1 million a year business. You could have $100 million a year business. You need legal counsel. You need to make sure your documents are drafted properly, that they're in compliance with the law of the state in which you're located. People don't even realize that they go to these websites and download a document, and it's not geared towards the state in which your company is located. So it's really important to have documents that comply with your state corporate law.
We do hear about the red and the blue states. Of course, there's political leanings apparent in one state or another, or one region and another. How different are the legal requirements when it comes to business operations and business succession and changing ownership across the country?
I'm only licensed in Ohio. However, there's some states that are more pro-worker, others that are more pro-business. And what do I mean by that? It's the ability of people to move from one company to another. It's also issues in terms of requirements that they have to have for their their clients. And I know that sounds very general, but it's just some are just more pro big business. And I'm not saying in a pejorative way at all. It's every state wants to be able to bring in business.
Right.
And I know particularly in the area of the country where we live, in Northeast Ohio, we don't have as many Fortune 500 companies as we had before. Our workforce are based on the shops that we're talking about, and those kind of businesses that employ maybe 5 to 10 people. And they really are the backbone and the workforce of the area of Northeast Ohio from where we are. Other parts of the country, very different, but the survivability of family-owned business is key to this area. And when people ask me, why do you enjoy what you do? I said, one of the things is I love working with my clients because I understand they are feeding their family and multiple other families are depending on this business. So what can we do from a legal standpoint that an error doesn't force this company into bankruptcy or into a bad situation legally?
That's a key point of our conversations with our readers and viewers on Shop Owner is the fact that you're not only putting money into your personal bank account, you are supporting all of your employees, their families,
right,
and potentially future generations as
right,
well. And a lot of times people may not recognize the importance of what they do, the power of what they do.
Right.
And so it's really important, as you said, to be prepared. What are some of the steps that they should take if they haven't started yet to start thinking about the next moving on or keeping that business going? Because we certainly don't want to see any small businesses, especially in the automotive industry, closing.
Right. It's very hard for small business in this country, and there really isn't much margin for error anymore, or to lose major customers and all of a sudden find yourself in a bad situation. So in terms of what I tell people, if you don't already have this in place, it's time to get it in place, and I call it the trusted team of advisors. Okay. That includes your business attorney. That would include your financial advisor. That would include your estate planner. There would be the person who's going to do a broker opinion or an opinion on the price of the property of your business, and if it includes the real estate, if it doesn't include the real estate, because many companies, they will have the real estate owned by one company and then the business owned by another, and it's done for tax purposes. So that's the thing. Who are your trusted advisors? And I tell people, yes, it's going to cost you money, but it will save you money in the long run because you will structure your succession plan that is the best possible for you and for the successor owners of the business, especially if it's family members. So invest wisely, bring them together, because they really all need to have conversations together to know where each other is in terms of helping this happen.
The big question on a lot of people's minds is obviously the money situation.
Right.
Taxes. How do you structure a succession plan to minimize the tax? How can you get as much out of it as you can? Can you speak to that?
What I do is I work with the owner's tax advisor. It can be an accountant, it can be a financial advisor. That is not my expertise. I know some people try and play in that area, but it is so technical, and it's obviously shifting as the tax laws change. And what you're deciding on 2 years in advance, you may have to shift down the road once there's a new package, a new tax bill that is passed in Congress or in the state level. So it is always a shifting thing. But I do work very closely with people's CPA and their tax advisor, because the last thing any owner wants to do is set up a transition financially that chokes the business, right, if they can't do a direct buyout at one time.
Right. And that's a great point. We're recommending 5-10 years down the road of succession planning. Who knows what the tax implications will be at that point? So you've got to maintain
right,
that it's nothing. It's not a set it and forget it kind of thing.
No, it isn't. And I was just talking to new clients of mine that are going into a new commercial space, and I saw that they had a lease for 10 years. I said, really? They said, does that surprise you? I said, yeah, I don't see 10-year leases anymore. Major corporations don't do it, and most companies don't, because the world is shifting so fast. And I said, if you're going to do a 10-year lease, then this is even for a shop that may be leasing space.
Sure.
What's going to happen if the business doesn't go for another 10 years or it's bought out? Are you going to still be stuck with this liability? So it's, once again, planning, but knowing that we are in a very fluid world these days, being that we're impacted from things happening in parts of the world we don't think of on a daily basis.
Right. The way things have changed, the supply lines, the world economy, how things have changed. We've got to maintain. You've got to maintain that flexibility, but also be prepared to make adjustments.
Exactly. Because you may find the business is going up, it may be going down. The question is, take a look at how you've structured it from a financial standpoint. Because like anything else, like a balance sheet, when anyone does a price opinion of a business, it's a snapshot in time. On the other side, you may end up paying more because your business is doing better, and the buyers are saying, you want more money for the business because it's doing even better.
Right.
And I can see that happening, especially with consolidation. But you said, how are people planning for the future? Are people taking into account where electric vehicles are going to be 5 to 10 years from now? I mean, we're hearing stories with Tesla having issues financially, but once again, we don't know.
Right. You have to be able to plan ahead, but also keep your foot in today as well.
Exactly. Exactly. And be realistic about what your business is worth. I mean, the price opinion, that's someone's opinion. However, it can't be, or the mistake people make is, I need X amount of dollars to net on this sale because I need it for retirement. Well, the market really doesn't care if that's the case.
Right.
The value of the business is the value of the business.
I bought all of this equipment 30 years ago. I need to get that much back out of it.
Exactly.
Plus,
Exactly.
Equipment ages, technology changes.
Totally.
Standard oil filter housing kits for Pentastar engines. Completely assembled with new sensors, oil cooler, and model year specific oil filter. Multiple design improvements over the original to prevent leaks. What's in your box?
Here in Schleifer from Schleifer Law in Beechwood, Ohio, where should shops turn for advice? Obviously, we're looking at the Northeast Ohio area.
Right.
Readers, viewers across the country have different needs, different applications going on with them. What should they do, regardless of where they are?
Start with, if you have a trusted advisor, your financial advisor, or your accountant, and you know you need an attorney, you need someone else to do X, Y, Z as we plan this, go to someone you trust, because most likely he or she will have people that they've worked with that they can recommend to you. And what I always tell people, when you're picking your lawyer or when you're picking your accountant, it's okay to talk to 1 or 2 or 3 people, because they all may be very skilled at what they do, but you have to feel comfortable with the professionals that you hired. You feel that you can speak freely. And I know when it gets to legal fees, people are really afraid of the legal fees. Yeah. Have the conversation with someone. What's this going to cost me? People do all the time. They ask me, is this going to be a flat rate? Is this going to be a billable rate? Every time I pick up the phone, are you going to charge me? I know the way that I work. I tell my clients, I came out of a large law firm, and they're wonderful, but I was trained that every phone call matters. That's not how I run my practice. I want it to be that my clients, who are small business owners, and when I say they could have a business that's doing 20 to 40 million a year, I don't want to feel that they're getting nickeled and dimed, or they don't call me when there's something that needs to be discussed because they're like, oh, this is going to be another $200. No. That's not how I work. I can only speak for myself, but I know other people in other industries that work the same way. They are very client-centric, which I am.
Would a recommendation be talk to another shop owner that you know in the area?
That's true. That's another, yes. I'm sorry I didn't mention that, but that is another good one, especially if they've had a good experience or if they had a bad experience, because everyone learns from the sale of their business or just getting ready to sell. I would also say, if there's trade organizations locally or nationally where you can build those networks and finding, it's not just for business, it's finding the professionals you want to work with. So what I tell people, if you think you may be selling your business at some point, just want to start talking about it with someone. I am more than happy as a business and real estate attorney to have that initial consultation with someone for about 20 minutes. And the whole thing is, if I'm not the right fit for someone, I know people and can refer them to others. Now, with respect to who I can represent, I'm licensed in Ohio, so it's any shop that's based in Ohio anywhere. However, there are people that may be living in other parts of the country that have their business still located, I can represent them.
How would they get a hold of you?
I would tell them they can go on my website at karen@schleiferlaw.com, and they can get my phone number there, but my phone number is 216-780-5060. Again, 216-780-5060.
Are there some professional websites or organizations, associations that you could recommend that people look at? The Federation of Independent Businesses, or other places that people might want to investigate for the next steps?
There can be chambers of commerce. I don't necessarily see that many shop owners there. It tends to be more professional people, so not necessarily there. Once again, trade organizations locally, chambers of commerce, anywhere where you see businesses coming together. Great. I'd also talk to any of the trade schools. They may know people, because those people may have come out of selling a business now are giving back and doing the training at our trade schools.
It's a great point. A lot of our shop owners have made that transition into some of the schools that we work with in Tomorrow's Technician, one of our other brands.
No, that's what I'm seeing in many different industries. I have a friend of mine from law school whose wife was a scientist. Well, she felt it was really important for younger people in high school to love science like she did, and went back in teaching. And you're seeing it in the business world with SCORE, which is through the SBA, Small Business Association, where they do bring seasoned people who have owned their businesses and will help mentor other businesses and business owners. And that, I believe, is still a free service. So if people need to find other business owners, and I know it's not just for people in professions, it's people in all different industries, and especially if you're in an area where it's heavily in industry and manufacturing, like Northeast Ohio, but it exists everywhere because people are driving. I noticed more cars on the road, so I don't believe people aren't driving anymore.
Right.
All over, and I'm sure other areas of the country. I've been to other areas. I go there regularly where friends are, and I said, wow, this is traffic.
Well, just like there's traffic on the streets, there's a lot of a maze of challenges when it comes to the next generation of business. Karen Schleifer, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Your guidance will be helpful to a lot of people I know in this area and other areas as well. So thank you, and good luck with all of your clients.
Thank you very much. It's really great being here. Thank you, and all the best with you giving directions to those clients, individuals who really need guidance because they have built an amazing business that should be able to survive for another generation or two if they have the right guidance.
We appreciate you helping to make sense of that crazy legal landscape that's out there.
Exactly.
Thank you for joining us. Good luck with your next stage.
Thanks for watching. For more information on succession planning, visit shopownermag.com. There, you'll find resources and links designed to help guide you on the road ahead. Learn more about our sponsor, Standard, by visiting standardbrand.com.